So Donna, let's take it from the top. Hi, I'm Chris Williams, and here in the Plaid Crafts studio along with me today, we have none other than Donna Dewberry. And we are actually streaming live on both Facebook and YouTube today. We welcome you to please share any comments you might have with us for Donna or any questions. And because I'm working on two different screens here, I'm going to do my best to try and field all those comments and questions and pass them along to Donna. Donna's going to share with you a little bit about a promo kit number 831 and all about her 1059 value pack of their FolkArt One Stroke brushes and her signature brushes. And the treat of all throughout today is Donna's going to actually paint for us too. And guess what? I think she's going to paint on the other side of that watering can in front of her.
So it matches. How does that sound? Yesterday we did a beautiful mailbox, so you have to go check that out. We put it out there so you can go watch that. And today, since I'm here in Atlanta at Plaid Studio, I'm going to paint a watering can. And you know what? When I started, guys, when I created One Stroke Painting, it was so that you could blend, shade, and highlight without painting, let it dry a base coat, then doing floating, and then adding colors, because that would lift up the color underneath. But with One Stroke Painting, after doing thousands and thousands of watering cans and French buckets every month for 4 years, I created this One Stroke painting technique. And I was so blessed that the paint company that found me was Plaid Enterprise. So that is over 26 years ago. So I am thrilled to be in this beautiful studio that they have. And we do Let's Paint, all kinds of lessons. And so let's talk first about how it's possible to do One Stroke with the best paint ever. Now, Plaid has all kinds of paints and mediums and finishes and sealers, many products that I love, and they're well known for Mod Podge. But I have fell in love with FolkArt Multi-Surface because it has a sealer in it that makes it extra special, and it makes it possible to be indoor, outdoor. It has beautiful, vivid colors. They're thick and creamy, luscious, and that makes it possible for One Stroke to work the best. So we use a really dark color with light colors, and today I'm going to blend a little bit of a couple colors together to show you the ease of doing that and how much fun it's going to be. And so One Stroke painting is blending, shading, and highlighting in each stroke that you make. So I usually teach you how to layer strokes and make it happen. We even have some beautiful Let's Paint kits like the Flower of the Month kit and the Birds and Blossoms kit that is going on right now, where we're launching new beautiful birds and flowers. And one of the things I want you to know is that if you get a hold of one of my worksheets, which are usually in these kits, which are always in these kits, you have my stroke with you. So it's the actual size stroke. And my brushes, when you load them properly, that's the key. I'm going to show you a lot of that today. Then you stroke the stroke on top of the teaching guide, and you get your beautiful blended colors. All right? But listen, as I'm sharing that with you, I'm going to say, listen to me say pressure lift, because without pressure, it's going to be two separate colors. And we need the pressure to blend it to be many colors. So the first kit I love to share with you today is the one I'm going to use, and that's promo code 831. All right, so what we have in there is all these beautiful luscious colors. There's some more darker shades, but you have plenty of light colors and bright colors to go with these, with this collection that we put together. So I have magentas and, well, let me look really quick, eggplant. I keep forgetting that we have eggplant. So we have cobalt and ink spot. We have teal, we have thicket, and we have burnt umber, bark brown, pueblo, yellow ochre, linen. Is this linen? Parchment. I always do that. And steel gray. All right. So there's 12 colors. Super deal. You don't want to miss these deals when Plaid has them for you. I also want to talk about you can't do anything without paints. but then you need my brushes. And so what I wanted to share with you is the value pack brushes are the brushes I'm going to use today. And these are 10 of my most used brushes. And I mostly do my stroke work with flat brushes. So in here I have from a 2, 6, 8, 10, 12, and 3/4. So I have all these flat brushes that make it possible for little teeny flowers. And we're going to do a bumblebee all the way up to big, larger flowers and larger leaves. 2 liners, a 1 and a 2 script liner, 2 scruffy brushes, which I created just for you guys for the one-stroke technique. So it's a 1/4 inch scruffy and a 3/4 scruffy. So those are the fun. We're going to actually use a scruffy today. And I want you to see the second set of brushes. Now these are, if you look at good, better, best, these are better than you might see out there in your craft stores. But the best is this set of signature brushes. Now I'm thrilled with my signature brushes. They are the 13 most used brushes because we added specialty brushes here. So you don't have to buy single brushes. You can still get a complete set. And I like when I'm stroking to look down at pretty brushes in my hand and pretty brushes that are high quality. So we're thrilled to present the Donna Dewberry signature brushes. These are one-stroke brushes that have lavender and white on them, and the specialty brushes like the fan, filbert, angle, what else do we have? Scruffies. There's 3 scruffies in this set, 3 sizes. All of those have a wrap, like they wrap a car with pretty designs. Well, I hand painted roses and flowers and plaid wrapped it on the handle so you have no doubt where those specialty brushes are. All right, so listen, don't forget, Chris is here while I'm teaching so that she can answer your questions. She can also tell me what you're wanting me to do or want to see. And you already have something, Chris?
I do.
Okay.
I just want to share with you, Donna, that on YouTube, Leanne made a comment that she loves FolkArt Multi-Surface.
Well, thank
and
you.
Brenda said that the value pack of FolkArt One Stroke brushes are fantastic to blend and paint in the one stroke technique.
That's
and then
right.
also on Facebook here, we had a question wondering whether or not there was a set of just angle brushes, and I did answer and I said yes, and if she
Yes.
visits Plaid's website she'll get more information.
Okay, so there's lots of things. We have 16 separately. I'm sorry, I don't want to touch the mic and make noises. 16 separate, a fan brush and some other brushes. But your deal, the special deal, the best price always is your value pack. And then our signature brushes you can't buy. There are lots of these brushes that are in here that sometimes the one brush costs as much as this entire signature set. So are you ready to look at some other tools? I'm going to load, I did load my palette with a double loader, and I put the double loader inside, and I really wanted to show y'all how to use the double loader. I put medium here so it doesn't run all over. Also, if you're doing fabric painting or any kind of paint that's more like a gel, what's wonderful is that you can put it in here and it keeps it from running all over your foam plate. But a foam plate also fits in here. So you're spinning this and taking it out, but you can also add a foam plate right inside here. And so any of you out there who've been painting with me for a while, you know I started out with foam plates. And paper plates kind of absorb the moisture, so we went to foam plates. And those pop right into here. And I made this like those wicker little picnic, holders for foam plates. That's how paper plates, that's how I started with this design for this palette. So look at this. Now then what happens, I'm going
and Donna, I'm going to go overhead so that they can see the palette a little bit better.
Yeah, that's better, thank you. So the other thing about this is I'm going to slide it under one, drop it in, and spin it. But the beauty of this, there is a lid if you want to store this. As soon as I would squeeze out my paint with my 7 children, I had to get called to the school or run something to the construction job for my hubby. And so I would waste all this paint. Well, with this, you can close it up, and this right here, these 2 notches fit on 2 of the notches, and it pops on to keep this, but it won't keep your paint wet, but it won't attach on here inside the palette, so take it out. and then it will pop on here. But this is the beauty of this, is that I put holes in here, and I tell you to wet the sponge, and you put it in here, and then I made a lid that goes right on here. And then when you close it up, I haven't, because I use my paint way faster, but I've had teachers that tell me that when they've used it, they've held paint in it for like 30 days. Who knows? It depends where you live, I'm sure. But this is made just for one of your great tools. Double loading helps you do the loading and not have and not make it muddy. That's the biggest problem that people have when they're learning my loading. Okay, so your favorite tool to keep those beautiful brushes in good shape is to use your brush caddy. And so this it's a brush basin here. What we have is we have places to put your loaded brushes or your brushes that are ready to use. We have right down here, I used to use a cup when I started, or a bowl, but I want you to see that it would bend the tips of the bristles. So you're gonna put this in here so it doesn't. You can rake to get the paint out of the silver ferrule, because the thing that's gonna destroy your chisel on this brush, and if you're new and you don't know what a chisel is, this is a chisel right here, the brush tips, okay? So we don't want paint to dry in here. That will make this not be a nice chisel anymore. Now the key to one-stroke painting is you start on the chisel, you put pressure and you stroke. I start on the chisel, I push down, I scrub, and make my stroke, and and it springs right back up. Look at this. All I do is lift pressure and it'll spring up, okay? And so that's what makes our brushes different than any other brushes, okay? And I also made this so that I could take, I used to hold the foam plate and work on this muscle here, which isn't very good to do for a long span of time. So I made an accordion paper towel into this little notch. So I could just come here and dry it as I'm working. I also made it for lefty or righty. And the key is, see, there's no grip here. It just sits on your fingers. Oops. It's like, oops, real quick on your fingers. And I don't want the paint to go spilling out. All right, can you think of something I missed, Miss Chris?
Well, so far everyone is either commenting through Facebook or YouTube, and they're making great comments that they love all of your tools. And Ann Parcher even said, I couldn't survive without my brush basin.
Well, thank you, Miss Ann, for sharing that with us.
And Gail added a little tip that she often uses press and seal in her double loader.
Yes.
So that she doesn't have the cleanup.
So with press and seal, let me show you. There's two things. When you want to clean this double loader, you can actually just go to the sink, and if it's really dried, you can let it sit just for a few minutes in the sink, and that dried paint will just pop up. Or you can use a scruffy to clean it out, okay? The other thing is, if you put press and seal, you lift this up, you put press and seal on top as a kitchen wrap at the grocery store. And then I take the scruffy and I press down the press and seal all the way around, and it will stick to your palette, your double loader. And then you just load it. When you're done, peel it off and throw it away, okay? All right, so now I'm going to, let's look at what we're gonna do here. All right, now see there, it's a muted. I really like these colors. I thought it gave just a different look, so it's kind of muted. And it almost looks like it's a sticker stuck on there, doesn't it? It's crisp on the white. I thought that was fun. We have a bumblebee. You can have it going up or coming down. And we had these fun leaves that I'm going to show you how to do. All right? So I love to do this. I also love to paint a little something on top if we end up having time, which might be another bee. And then I'm going to start right here on this watering can. So I want to try to keep this palette kind of close. Oh, yeah, you can see that. Good. All right, I want it kind of close. Now remember, you're using multi-surface paint. FolkArt Multi-Surface does exactly what we want it to do. We want it to stay on. We want it to not come off when you nick it or use it. So that's the beauty of this. Now, the first thing I want to do is I get the sizing out of my brushes. So I always dampen them, lay them on the paper towel, and you're ready to go. But we do not dampen. I want you to see I'm fluffing the scruffy. We don't put water in this brush. The only time you put water in this brush is to clean this brush, okay? Now I fluff it like a makeup brush, and when I do that, I go in the middle, guys, okay? I don't want to just pull these little hairs on the outside. This is natural hair that we're using here, some kind of natural hair. And then this is synthetic nylon, and it has very good density then, and you'll see the difference in it and other brushes. And for this very inexpensive price, you can get a quality bristle that you are going to love the quality of how this strokes. And our brushes stroke different. All right, so the first thing I did was I came right here and I decided I want the sunflower to be this way shining over, okay? Now I can do it from either side. I'm gonna probably do it from this side.
Before you get started, Donna, I do have a question for you.
Okay.
This is from Brenda. She's wanting to know about the FolkArt Multi-Surface paints, and can they be used on leather or wannabe leather? Maybe she's referring to like a faux leather.
For years, I know Plaid has had some really wonderful leather paint in the past, but for years, I have used the multi-surface paint. And I use the multi-surface on leather, real leather, or on with a really soft real leather. If you do it too thick, it might crack, but I've had no problem on purses, on my shoes, and on the fluffer, what is it called? It's not real leather, but it looks like real leather. I've used that too, so I think you'll be really have good results if you do.
And I'll add to that too that we also manufacture a leather paint specifically for leather surfaces.
Do we still have that?
That's called Leather Studio.
Oh, good. I love that. All right, so I'm going to take Scruffy into Burr Number. I told you, Chris is the expert on all of our products. And then we're going to come right here and we're going to pounce. See, I'm pouncing the dry brush and to get this color. All right, so I need both colors, and I want you to see that it's like an egg, and you're doing the upper part one color, and so 2/3 of it was Burr Number, and the upper part is the Pueblo. And sometimes I've used brown and licorice, and I would want more brown than licorice, okay? So this is a different color than I've used in most of my worksheets, and because I like this effect that we're gonna get. Now see, I'm just pouncing and doing like a rainbow, see, up and over. All right, now while that's wet, you're gonna start stroking, and we'll come shade that a little bit more. But what I wanna do is I wanna pick up a couple of colors here. We're gonna pick up right here the yellow ochre and the parchment, and I'm gonna make a little bit lighter shade, okay? So I can use some of this, and I'm pushing here and pulling. Now that's the beauty. See the streaks in there? I want to pick up that wet. I can just pick up just yellow ochre and pick up the Pueblo. I can pick up more of the parchment. So I'm multi-loading to get these multiple colors. Look at this, right here. Now I want you to see, when I say blend shading and highlighting, we are getting streaks, we're using the yellow ochre, we're using the parchment, we're using some Pueblo, and we're getting the color in there in one stroke. So let me show you up close that I'm gonna pick up, let's get a little bit of Pueblo on this blend here that I use parchment and yellow ochre, and I push and lift. And these are in the background, so I did them a little bit more pressure on there, a little bit darker.
And let's talk a little bit before you get too much further in your painting about what preparation you did for this watering can.
That's right.
Let's start from the beginning and tell everyone what you did.
Thank you, Miss Chris. What I want you to know is that we don't know what process they do with most wet metal. Lots of times they use an oil or a process as they're bending the metal, or the powder bakes a little bit different, but galvanized, you'll see that a lot. So what you need to do is use an alcohol. You can scrub it with soap and water and make sure you don't have dust on it. And you can also rub it with rubbing alcohol to get all the oils off of it, and then you're ready to go. Okay, so now I want to now put some strokes that come over on top of this. Now, I do want you to see that if I pick up a little bit of a couple of those colors, come right here, I've got to make sure it's still wet. You see how I made sure I went in there till I got some of that paint there. Anybody liking this? We've done a lot of sunflowers. This is a little bit different today, so I was excited about that. And so now I want to fix this part of the sunflower where I touched and pulled paint from it all the way around before I lay these petals over. All right, so see how I laid the petals over right here? All right. Now, what I'm going to do, I made this a little bit bigger and I moved it over a little bit, but the beauty is no matter how you look at it, you're going to see a pretty sunflower, right? So I'm going to go back to my burn umber, and I am using my 3/4, but you could use your 16, your medium. No, do we have? Yes.
It's
your mediums.
12?
Huh?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about your flats.
No, scruffy. You can use one of the smaller scruffies if you want to, but what I like is that we can go around very slowly and clean and pounce and clean up where you'd, now see, you don't see now where the strokes pulled out of the color out into the petals. All right, now what I wanted to do is I took off just a little bit of it. Oh, you can't see me over there. All right, I took just a little bit off, and then I'm gonna grab a little bit of yellow ochre. You see that? Do we have some people out there, Miss Chris?
We do.
Okay, so, all right, now see, this isn't showing up, so guess what I've got to do? See, it's just kind of muted. Now I'm going to go over to the parchment and the yellow ochre and pounce it together till I get a lighter color, okay? Now, you should be able to see this. Okay, so we're coming right in there and getting another horizon of color. And, you know, sometimes I use just straight yellow ochre if it's just all burnt umber and licorice. But right now, that's going to work really good for us, okay? So just think about it. You can use red sunflowers. You can use just all tan. There's all kinds of bright yellow ones and all kinds of varieties, okay? So now the ones I'm bringing on top, I'm going to pick up, I dipped into a little bit of Pueblo, and I want you to see that this is kind of drying up. There is a little bit though, so you might be lucky to pick up a little bit of the color. So what I'm going to do right here is I'm going to push and stand up. Okay, you can use a 12 or one of the 16s right in here to do these strokes. Don't use a 3/4, it's too large. Okay.
And Jan says she loves the color Pueblo.
Who was that?
I said Jan.
Oh, well, thank you, Jan. Miss Jan's a beautiful artist. Okay, beautiful one-stroke artist. Thank you, Jan, for being on. All right, so now I want one more in there. So let's pick up a little bit. I wanted to have something too, a little bit of more light color. I love to have artists that have been painting one stroke with us, and I love you newbies who say, tell me, ma'am, how to do this. All right, and we have lots of opportunities for you at Plaid. So tell them a little bit where they can go watch lessons with us, Chris.
Oh, the best place for anything that has to do with FolkArt One Stroke and Let's Paint is to visit Plaid's website. That is plaidonline.com/Let's Paint. And I will type that both in the comments here on Facebook as well as YouTube.
There you go. All right, so I covered up a lot of the dark, so one of the things I can do here is pick up a little bit of burnt umber with my small 6 brush and then come right in here and have it a little bit darker. With the one stroke, you can always stroke over or add. You just come in here and check it out, see? All right, so I can even come over on top of that petal, because I want y'all to see. Let's come down in here a little bit more. I want you to see the center. And I'm going to go right back over and stroke to the side a little bit. There we go. See? And there we have a nice little dark center. Now, let's come over here, and I just want to show you the difference. We're going to have yellow ochre and linen. Not linen, parchment. Then I do one stroke here. That's one color. All right. Then I'm going to come here and just do yellow ochre. That's a little bit more solid. And then I'm going to put Pueblo and put a little bit there. All right, so, and then burn umber and Pueblo gives you a little bit more. So then that makes a cute little bud. Just so, see all the different colors there? That's the beauty of our paint, and that's how, in one stroke, you can blend, shade, and highlight and get some pretty colors in there. And I'll show you a little bit later that you can use a little bit of a liner and detail more if you would like to. And I did put a little bit of burnt umber in there later too. But lots of times you pick up enough burnt umber from stroking outside from the center to get that look. All right, so I'm going to take the same brush and I'm going to go in right here and split the brush to pick up color. See, I split it. Let me show you that up close. All right, we're going to grab color on both sides. Then I'm going to go to a cubby here and work it in. Now, I did not even clean the sunflower petal colors out of here. I just kept picking up more paint. Then that gives you really pretty shades. All right, so now this is what we want. We want it at least 2/3 full. You split it when you pick it up. You work it in without it being split. And then at the end, you have a light blend, which blends the color on your brush, and then you're ready to go. Now what I did do is I put a little bit, a dip of Pueblo, and I can move it right here. Ooh, that ended up being a lot, so I can come right here. Sometimes you can keep painting out of here, like when you stroke and you want to come back, come right there and pick up a little bit more. If you needed medium, you go into medium and then go 1, 2, and you're ready to go. But on slick surfaces like glass, metal, mirrors, and ceramic, you do not need floating medium. Now let me tell you why we use floating medium. Floating medium is used when you feel like you need water, like it's very dry. And so when you're not going to be dry on metal or glass. And so if you go to water, you're going to get muddy. And that's going to mess up that one stroke look that we want. So what I tell you to do is we dip into floating medium, which is the fluff that's inside this paint, but it's clear and it dries at the same speed that our paint dries. But it makes it move smooth like butter. So when you're stroking, if it doesn't feel like butter, like really smooth spreadable butter, then you've got something wrong. If it's muddy and a mess and you can't see your strokes, you're not loaded right. So those are the things that you just need to practice, okay? All right. And we have tutorials and all kinds of ways for you guys to find how to do a better job of one-stroke painting and loading your brush. Now look right here. I'm gonna take and do a leaf. And so I'm gonna go loop, 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 all the way to a point. And see all those yummy colors in there? All right, so I can even just pick up yellow ochre and make it a little bit darker. All right, so just turn it around. People say, can you turn it around? Of course you can. All right, there we go. No questions?
No, Donna, there aren't.
Are you watching?
I think you might be mesmerizing everyone.
It's good if they're watching. That makes me happy. All right, so we're going to come right here. And now let's do a big one here. One thing that helps you is if you go like this and you make a line, and that's going to be an arrow. And sometimes that arrow points into the flower. And on here, I want it to go out away from it. So I'm going to try to miss that petal. All right, so I'm going up And I want you to see that this looks like a Christmas tree. So if I turn it upside down, it looks like an upside down Christmas tree. But see, I take the brush all the way up, and I followed that center line. I don't know if you noticed that, but go back and rewatch it and you'll see I followed that line. All right, so I got brighter on this. I'm gonna wipe a little bit more. And so I'm thrilled to spend the afternoon with you guys and create and show you the beauty of working on metal. And it's how I started my business, and it's how when Plaid found me when I was painting metalware. And my first book was on the metalware that we were selling at the gift markets. And there we go. All right, so is that kind of fun? Now that's a little bit darker. This one's a little bit lighter. I did see how I floated and shaded some brown in there and in here, but I'm going to let it dry for a minute and do the bumblebee, okay? So
Oh, I think they'll love seeing the bumblebee.
I know, it's fun. All right, so I'm going to go to a smaller brush. Let's go to a 10. You can do a 10 or a 12. Let's see, I've got a 12 here. I'll do the wings with a liner this time. I don't usually do that. All right, so I'm going to have this bumblebee going up a little bit. And I did a little bit of white. And see, I'm mixing, it's not white, it's parchment and yellow ochre to make it a little bit lighter, okay? So let's head up with it. So I'm going to take, and here's its body. Okay, and usually I just do a stroke like a leaf right there. But on this little guy, I made him a little chubbier. There we go. All right, like a big bumblebee. I've got some big bumblebees working on my lavender plants at home. Okay, so then I will come in here. I took a little corner and dipped into Pueblo and then shaded right on the edge before I started putting the stripes on the bumblebee. Okay, is that kind of fun? All right, so.
Brenda says she's loving this color palette. Brenda, this is all colors that are available in a, excuse me, a promo kit labeled Promo 831, and it can be found on Plaid's website.
831 and 830 are my two kits that I use the most with Multi-Surface. And check them both out. You'll love the colors in both of them. So here's the head. And sometimes I just use the handle of the brush. But this is my 2-script liner, and I'm not making it inky. Usually this brush, I make everything inky. I'm using thick burnt umber across here. And I'm making the little fuzzies, the little fuzzy stripes on the bee. I know, I'm thinking as I'm painting. I stopped talking in the middle of the sentence here. Okay, so look, we're going to do a second stripe. Okay, so think about this. This is something that I used to do a mailbox every 15 minutes, and so did the workers in my warehouse, because we lined up quite a few of them in front of you. But that's the beauty of what One Stroke does, is that you blend, shade, and highlight. You can accomplish a lot in a short amount of time. But even if it's spent all day creating this, wouldn't you be really excited that you created it? That's what I think is so fun about One Stroke painting, is it saves money and makes money, I say to people, because I can make my greeting cards, I can paint my gift wrap, I can do all kinds of things that save me money from buying cards. I went to buy wedding cards for my grandsons, and I almost dropped my jaw, and they were $12.99 a card. I was like, what? I'm going to go home and paint something, but I didn't. But I should have them already painted in plenty of time, right? Now look, see, I did make this a little inky, oops, a little inky so that I could just separate them just a little bit, like that. See how that added to it? Just a few lines of the burnt umber. Now I also came right in here and made some little accents because I couldn't pull the wet center right there, so we can put these little lines in there to shade it a little bit, and it gives you depth right there. So you like this palette, guys? Tell me your favorite thing you like to paint, if you have painted, or the thing that you would love to learn how to paint. So right here, we're going to come in there so Miss Chris can tell me. Right there. And we put some shading under here. Okay, so any bit of this starts adding a different layer of shading, a different right here, there. And so what you can do now is make these look like they're in front more and these are in the back. But I am going to let that set just for a little bit and finish our bumblebee. Okay, so just a little bit of this burnt umber on here. Okay.
Pat says a peony, and Gilbert says roses will always be my favorite. And Judy says she loves painting on glass with the FolkArt Multi-Surface paints and the FolkArt enamels. Carolyn says she loves sunflowers and birds and butterflies.
Awesome. How many have done some of our birds this year? Birds and blossoms. How many of you have tried that? We have a really pretty one this month that we just did too. Like the watering can is really fun because you can just wipe off anything that you got on there until it dries and then it stays. Okay, so what I did was I came in here with little wings that are going to fit right up, and you want those to go right to where the head is. All right, and since this is a white background, I decided we are going to just leave the white background there. All right, now look what happens. I just took the liner and I am going to do whatever I do on this side of the wing, I'm going to do on this side. Okay, so if I come across here and go down, I come across here and go down. And same thing with a butterfly. So when you're doing those little accents right here, it's going to give you the same kind of look so that you're matching them, because they're pretty good about having with dragonflies or these bumblebees or butterflies. You're going to get these nice lines on their wings. Okay, they don't have to be exact, but it really makes it look more natural. And that's those are big wings. But I'm having fun.
Well, he's got a big body to get around from one place to another,
Yeah.
Donna.
Yeah, my grandsons came from Utah and they were out there going, those are the biggest bees I've ever seen in my life, and they're really gigantic, enormous, out there in my garden. They like this one lavender flower and they go crazy on it. Okay, so now I can take, if I did have floating medium, I would be careful because this has to really set and dry. But I'm going to just take this brush that I've wet, put it on the paper towel, dry it, and I want to side load right here. I'm going to lay it down next to the puddle of paint and side load burnt umber. Okay, now what I want to do is I'm going to just I'm going to wiggle this as I come around, and I want you to see what happens here. All right, so see how that burnt umber shades that? It puts these petals in the back. And all I did was run this burnt umber with a flat brush. People think I'm going straight up on the chisel. We're not, we're going flat. When I did my petals, I was laying the brush flat and then standing up to the tip. And if you get good at doing these, in my warehouse I used to have people paint sunflowers first. So when they're all done learning sunflowers and they paint a whole thousands of sunflower petals, then guess what? Then they have a one-stroke leaf because that's the same stroke. That's just, a leaf is just like that, but green instead of yellow. All right. So see how those colors start showing up? And I can come right in here because I did lose some of that lighter yellow ochre that I put with my scruffy. All right, I can come right in there and add a little bit more. Remember I said you can come touch up anything you're not happy with? Just pick up more paint and add more paint right on top. Okay, there we go. All right, so there's this one, and there's that one. And did you see how I did a little bit of the trailing, the little trail from where the bee came or where the bee's going? So anything you want me to go over again, Miss Chris?
Well, there were some viewers that said they loved, Pat Houston's on Facebook, and she said she loves painting on watering cans and mailboxes, and that she's sold many through the years.
That's awesome.
And there was somebody else, I'm sorry, I can't remember the name, said that they love painting on terracotta pots. And so this floral design would be good for that as well. And so many comments about this color palette and that they love the promo 831, so that's nice to know.
Okay, can I show them this real quick? This one is 830 that we did yesterday, and see the colors in this one, they're just a little bit brighter. So there's that, and here's this, and they both, this is 830, and this is 831, promo 831. There you go. I'm sorry I interrupted you. You were still in the middle of sharing something with us.
That's okay. That's all right. And Lucy just joined us, and she said she's turning in late. And I said, don't worry about it. There's always the replay. And she says, I know, replay should be my nickname.
All right, so now you can come in a little bit and just float more colors. See, if I want this to stand out a little bit more, I can use and float some of the, see that one popping up? And then watch this. We can come right here and do the one in the back. Okay? Look how that can change the whole look. See that? So from just single stroking, where you pushed, I'm going to show you one more time on the top of the watering can. And I told you we'll make this one look like it's in front by putting dark underneath that petal. Okay, and this petal. Okay, so up here, I want to show you one more time how I said these leaves were. So I'm going to pick up yellow ochre, and I'm blending this paint together. If I was double loading, I would split the brush and get them both. Then I'm going to come over here and work this in and dip a little bit of Pueblo. Now watch me do these strokes here. See if I can do it on this side, and then I can put a leaf on the other side. So I'm putting pressure, and then I'm standing up. Pressure and stand up. So when I'm standing up, I take this pressure and lift and give you a stroke that has shading all in it. Can you see that? Now, I can then, you can also come in here and put some lighter in front. This is wet on wet because we're not using water, because we're going straight from the paint to our surface and stroking, okay? So there's that. Now I'm going to wash that same brush. I'm using a 10 now. And I'm going to pick up the parchment and thicket, work that in, double load, work that in. I'm going to touch a little bit of yellow ochre. Now I'm going to do that same exact stroke. First of all, I'm going to put a stem and pull it around here. And the thing that's beautiful, if you don't like it, it wipes right out. All right, I can't reach it over there very good. So look at this. Now look what's going to happen here. I'm going to put pressure and stand up. And just because it's green, it looks like a leaf. See that? Okay, so I hope you guys learned something. You want me to go over anything again, Miss Chris? Are we good?
Just one moment, please. I'm answering a question, and I've got one for you.
Okay. Here we go. Now what I like to do when we get surfaces like this is I like to make a border that goes all the way around. I featured on this one, I just featured it here and I featured it there, okay? But this makes a really pretty area to do a border all the way around.
What I would love for us to talk about now, Donna, so sorry, excuse me, is we talked about the prep. Now we need to talk about finishing.
Okay.
And we need to talk about the type of
Mod
paints and the formulas and the finishing rules and regulations.
Okay, so what's real important to know is, yes, you could just leave it like this. It's got a sealer in it, it works great, but I always have people that say, but I want it really sturdy. Like I'm in the Florida sun, I live in Florida, so I painted the mailbox, my mailbox, and it was in hurricanes and heavy storms, not hail, but heavy storms, and lots of sunlight. And it didn't fade, it held up, it was amazing. But I have many people that want to put an extra sealer on top. Now this is what I recommend. It's really important that when you use a Plaid product that we are very careful about our varnishes, our sealers, and our sprays, the Mod Podge, everything that we have is made so that it works well with the formulas that we paint with. And I have had where I've used a different spray or a different varnish and everything was sticky. Have you ever had that happen when it was very tacky? It never dries. So that's the importance of using the same brand on your product. It makes a huge difference in your success. But what I want to share with you is when you're on a shiny metal, you need to spray instead of stroking if you don't want to see those brush strokes. Now I like to use a gloss, especially like if you have a satin and a matte and you're outdoors in Florida, what will happen in that texture is that it will get mold and stuff. No, algae will grow in that and turn a green color like on our fences and all. So if you have a gloss finish, if you spray a gloss finish, then it doesn't have anything to attract, to attract that. So I spray it and I do a coat away from it, a light coat, and I might do 2 to 3 coats. And that's just being super, super assuring yourself. All right, so then with the Mod Podge, it works just as well. I just did a lot of sprayed Mod Podge on, and I did do satin on that because of whatever project we were doing, I don't remember, but I took it outside, sprayed it, and they were so thrilled, and it turned out really nice. Oh, I know, we did charcuterie boards. All right, so then this one I want you to see, like galvanized metal has a matte look, so when you spray that, you're good. The mailbox is the only thing that's in the sun, all in the weather, but these type of mailboxes are actually against your door usually, so they're covered. But this one right here, I could not scrub the paint back off of this, and I really tried hard, so that's a good sign. This was on Amazon, and it's got a little dimple in it, like an orange peel finish, and so it is a little satiny and not super shiny. So you can brush it on this one, but on the shiny you wouldn't want to. Did I leave anything out that you might add, Miss Chris?
No, I think that you kind of covered it.
Okay.
I know personally I have painted mailboxes before in the hot Georgia sun. We're up in the high 90s, close to hundreds.
That's a famous hydrangea that many of you have seen.
Oh, I've done several, but the current one I have is the hydrangea one, yes. But I've done roses and other florals through the years because I do them like every 4 years just to swap them out because I get tired of a mailbox. But what I wanted to say was I painted mine with the FolkArt Multi-Surface paints, and I did not put a protective finish on. And here in the Georgia heat, I have had no fading, no blistering, no peeling. It is a fabulous paint formula that will adhere. And of course you can add the added protection, yes.
Yeah.
But I will just say that personally I didn't, and mine still looks good today.
Well, a few of those people who asked me that they're selling their wares, and they really wanted to make sure that nothing came back. But I have to tell you, I have never sealed mine. I just use this beautiful paint, and I'm like Chris, it still holds up really well. There you go, guys. So, where can you get the best paint? At Plaid. Where can you get the best sealers, glitters, what is it? We have Dragonfly, we have Colorific, no, we have Color Shift, we have Glitterific, Color Shift.
I think Donna just made a new product line for us.
Yeah, I know. Lots of extreme. We've done what's the extreme glitter? The really fine little glitter.
The sugar fine,
I'm sorry, brushed metals. I love brushed metals. Those are really pretty. Lots of product that just adds to your beauty. There's lusters that you can put on top of this, like the Dragonfly, and other things that will make this shimmer. And I like shimmer. I'm getting ready for some Christmas ornaments and put lots of glitter. All right, so the only surface that I can just share with you that I found I'm happier if I use the fabric inks for my fabric painting. And so, but you can use acrylic paint with textile medium and feel comfortable that it's going to stay well. I use a lot of the big IKEA pillows, and we stencil and hand paint on those. And we're even doing that at my One Stroke convention, so it's really fun. And I appreciate you guys being on. I appreciate Chris answering everybody's questions. And
yes, we did all along the way. If I missed any, we'll do our best to try and go back and catch them. The last question that just came in was somebody asking about the new FolkArt dots, and was that could it be used on an outdoor surface? And I did write back and say yes, it's an indoor-outdoor paint product, so yes, it can be. It's perfect for all the rock decorating and rock mandalas and so on that everyone loves. So,
Emily, can you hand me that terracotta pumpkin? I want to show one of the other ones that I really like. If you have something you want it to look like a clay pot, I just have to share this with you. This is one of those orange pumpkins that we have put a terracotta paint on, and it feels just like a terracotta clay pot. And this has a rosy tone to it, but there's all kinds of colors. And so I have taken plastic and ceramic and glass, just plain glass, and painted it with this that it looks just like a clay pot. So you can go around and decorate. I love trash to treasures. I love taking those old brass lamps that look like they're tarnished, they're not pretty anymore, they're not in trend anymore, and paint it with some of our finishes, and you will love that you can decorate your home. I used to save money, what does I say? Make money and save money by sprucing up my house and changing it around, and this is a perfect time, guys, with the way cost is, to be able to do some of this fun projects. And I want to thank you guys for being on, and we're really blessed that we have Plaid with all these beautiful products and knowledgeable people like Miss Chris, who knows all the frequently asked questions. And we always know, everybody, I hear people on my website, on my Facebook say, go ask Chris Williams, she'll know the answer. So thank you, Miss Chris.
well, thank you, Donna, for being here with us today and for painting a pretty sunflower on the watering can for us, helping us to promote the Promo 831, the FolkArt Multi-Surface paints, as well as your brushes and your tools under the FolkArt One Stroke brand. And just know, everyone, that we tried to answer all of your questions. All of this product can be found on plaidonline.com. And also, if you want to find some extra additional classes that Donna has taught with us, visit plaidonline.com/Let's Paint. And that's where you'll see all kinds of lessons and classes with Donna that we've done here at Plaid. So thank you for joining us today. And until next time, thank you, Donna, for being here with us. And let's just give everybody the Let's Paint cheer.
All right.
Come on, everybody.
Let's paint.